let's discuss this ever so rampant infection that we have called corporate greed. I've mentioned it in my book. I talk about it, not extensively, because there was a more pressing need for other things to be discussed, but now let's talk about that. So, the one thing that I mentioned is how corporations destroy their products so that others cannot resell them and make a profit off of them. The world's biggest gripe with that is that there are so many uses for those items. It's fucking ridiculous. Bed Bath & Beyond, other places like that, will destroy their products, for example, any bedding, and will throw them in a dumpster, quite simply, instead of donating them to children's hospitals or homeless shelters that have both adults and children. People, human beings, those things. So their purview is that they don't want to be held liable for anything that comes from that. However, as I also mentioned, under the Good Samaritan Act, they can't be. But their corporate lawyers who are profiting also from their corporate greed are telling them no, it's better to be safe. What the fuck is a homeless person going to do with a blanket other than, warm themselves and be protected from the elements? What kind of liability do you think is going to come from that scenario? If they murder someone with it, is that going to shine bad on Bed Bath & Beyond? In today's news, homeless person murders local citizen with a Bed Bath & Beyond blanket. And then everyone is going to go wow and say they're never going to buy Bed Bath & Beyond blankets again. How stupid sounding is that? Homeless people are not concerned with the stupidity of people that can afford a home and shelter and food. They're not concerned about that. Their concern is their own shit right now. Yes, some of them do kill for those things because it does get overwhelming. But did we stop to think that maybe they do that because it is such and it's like unbearable? There are so many people out here who would not be able to survive a day on the street because they've been privileged with shelter, food, and love. Put those motherfuckers on the street and see how desperate they get. But not all homeless people like that. There are very few that happen to do crazy things. The rest of them, you'll be surprised how educated they are, how intelligent they are, how emotionally intelligent they are. I've witnessed in my work more homeless people and people who are experiencing homelessness, impoverished, all of those individuals doing more for other people than niggas I know, who have the money and means and time to donate and do shit for other people. It's fucking ridiculous and embarrassing. Some of these people, I am embarrassed to call friends or family because they come up with the excuse, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. Oh, okay. But I like those new shoes you have on. Did you need another pair? Like, for real? You couldn't spare $5 from that purchase? Did you at least go to a store that donates portions of their purchases? Right. Okay. So, going back to the corporate greed, not to be derailed, this is what I mean. Like, they're more concerned about their own fucking pocketbooks as opposed to the well-being of others, of fucking human beings that bleed blood red, that have paid taxes more than them, and if they're homeless, who are probably homeless because they were taxed into the fucking ground, because bitches like them won't pay their own fucking fair share. So, again, back to this corporate greed. Why aren't we doing anything about it? We just let them do this shit. Of course, we can't technically tell them, hey, you need to do A, B, and C. However, we can morally force them into submission. We can boycott their products, stop buying their shit until they do what's right under corporate social responsibility, instead of just saying, okay, hey, we're going to donate X hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and call that their fucking version of CSR. No, that shit doesn't work, because you're going to donate to organizations that you're not necessarily familiar with, but you know some of the people in there. You may know the executives there. They're going to slice off their cut. We're not going to see the effects of those donations. That's the point. We're not going to see that shit. So they should have a separate governance policy for this altogether and have a separate department that monitors and runs all waste products are to be returned back to corporate, and then they are divvied out across all fucking 50 states. And whatever they have left should be donated internationally. Find someone to, let's say, for example, Doctors Without Borders. Give them those remaining pieces, and then they can take those pieces with them to Africa and the countries that they go to, the areas that they tend to, sick individuals, because I'm sure they are in dire need of those things as well. It doesn't take much, because the amount of spray paint they buy, the amount of waste management they fucking contract will well pay for all of the transportation costs. And I'm sure if they just look, it takes 5 minutes, look for a nonprofit logistics company or broker or something that will be able to monitor that entire transportation transaction from beginning to end. It all can be done in kind. It's very fucking simple. It's just that they're gonna find every fucking excuse why they won't do it, why they can't do it, why it's gonna cost all this money. Okay, write the shit off on your taxes. This is what you're gonna do anyway. So I'm sorry, what's the problem? Because the more you have to write off on your taxes, because those items that you're actually trashing, you're writing off as unsold goods and whatever the fuck else. So help me understand, why is just changing the verbiage in your policy and the actions with that is so difficult? Because it's 6 in one damn hand and half a dozen in another. And I think the half a dozen is actually going to cost maybe just a few pennies less when it's all said and done. Like, really? Because I've seen these things before. I've seen these policy changes. I've seen what it does for corporations. It works. It fucking works. It's just that you have these fucking greedy, callous ass people making these decisions. People who have homes to live in and be comfortable in, full of food and love and warmth. So why should they give a fuck about the next person on the street? That could very well be a family member they don't even know about, because they don't give a shit about anybody else but themselves. So why? No one can ever answer that question. You call a corporation, you ask a corporation why they don't do these things, and no one can ever answer the question. It just always goes back to the liability. Oh, well, they just don't want any liabilities. And of course, the people on the ground don't know shit. They're just following fucking commands like sheep usually do, instead of holding their bosses and fucking executives responsible. Of course, they don't want to make any waves because they need the fucking paycheck. That's why we are in the positions that we're in. Why homelessness is such a fucking disaster in this fucking country. We're supposed to be the land of the free, not that fucking free. People do want to have walls and food in them. Of course, granted, there are the isolated incidences where you meet people that say, I don't want the debt and the responsibility and all of that shit. I'd rather be homeless. Okay. You know, more power to you. We're not talking about those. We're talking about people who really do want that shit, who are tired of living in tent cities, fighting for rooms in hotels, not being able to afford those places because they didn't hustle up enough money to be able to pay for their portion. All of that shit. The struggle. The fight with climate. I don't understand. What I'm going to try to do is change the minds of these fucks and get them to understand that it's, first of all, it's not even your money. Yes, you get paid to be able to save the company as much money as you possibly can. However, you can make the company more money that way, because people will start to respect you more. People will shop at you more. You don't have to fucking close stores down, which means moving people or firing people, laying people off, who then probably end up in that cycle of homelessness. Like, use your fucking brains instead of thinking with your goddamn pockets. It's not that difficult. We just choose to see ourselves before we see others. And this is my whole entire platform. We need to see everyone else before we see ourselves. We can see ourselves in other people. If we just do that, we will be able to do more for humanity and not have to worry about putting ourselves in debt or being impoverished trying to do so. It doesn't work that way. When you're helping other people, you get more blessed. It's just common fucking sense, dumb dicks. It's not that fucking hard to deduce. Get it together. Fix your shit. Help these people. This corporate greed nonsense is out of fucking control. It's why we're all so fucked up now. It's why inflation is out of control. It's why deflation is actually a problem too. All of it is a problem. Money is a problem. But that's another podcast. We just don't recognize it. All of our actions are fucking us over. We think we're doing good. For who? Who the fuck are we doing good for? Because eventually our actions are fucking ourselves. We're fucking ourselves with no lube and the biggest goddamn phallus we could find to put in the smallest fucking hole we have. That's what the fuck we're doing. We're not recognizing the implications of our actions. We don't even give a shit because it's not happening right in front of our eyes, even though it's unfolding in front of our eyes. If we actually just fucking look and use our eyeballs, because it's not something that's happening immediately in front of us, we don't pay attention to it. All of this shit's been unfolding all along, and it's just gotten worse. It's at its worst point. No, you know what? I'm lying. It's not at its worst point. It's getting to its worst point. And that's what we need to do. We need to wake up. In simplicity, we need to wake up. And we need to wake up now. We need to hold these corporations and these greedy bastards accountable. Make them do their part. Because as the slaving away fucking constituents that we are, we shouldn't be held with that responsibility too. You have billions of dollars in your coffers, and few companies have trillions. And what are you doing with them? I read somewhere, I can't remember, but you know, whomever you are, you have the full credit. He said something about, it was a Twitter post about how all of these billionaires and fucking trillionaires are going around orbit having he called it a dick size contest, something like that, talking about Bezos and Branson, all of these guys with these fucking spaceships. Like, how fucking important is that at this very moment? Now, I understand that there's an ultimate motive for that, but I'm fighting against that. I understand what it is that they're doing. But right now, humans are more important here on this planet. You're reaching too far. I understand you want to hedge for the future. We'll just say that. No, right now, it's about the people that are here. And the whole point of you needing that whole future shit is because we don't do shit here now. Because we've destroyed here now. We have the opportunity to fix it. We have the time to fix it. Mother Nature is just saying, look, y'all bitches need to get y'all shit together or else I'm getting ready to turn this shit up. So we have the time to fix this shit. On Earth, in Earth, and around Earth. But instead, these fucking, I don't even know what to call them. These guys, these motherfuckers are spending all of this money for what? Just like Guy said in the Twitter post. A fucking dick ruling contest. Who has the biggest motherfucking dick and can do it faster? Is what the fuck that shit show was. It's bad enough we have all the countries trying to get out into space fast. Who can get out there first and colonize and all this, that, and the other kind of shit, or find technology. Just to simplify it, first of all, it's way beyond what the fuck they're showing us. It is way beyond that shit, but that's another fucking story. Like, there are already colonies out there, and that's why the fuck there's so much travel out there. They're making sure that shit is still running great. Trust me, we don't know anything compared to what's really fucking going on. Anyway, these bitches need to spend some of that fucking money here. And then the next thing you're gonna hear is, oh, well, you know, we don't have those kinds of funds. Really? Because you just fucking sunk it into a fucking aluminum tin can that could go out of space, that could break the fucking sound barrier. Why? Was that important to you? Was that important to humanity? You know, that whole, you know, we're trying to help humanity. No, the fuck you're not. You're helping your dick and stroking that shit and making it feel like it's bigger than the next guy's. I can do it bigger than you and faster. Who the fuck cares? There are people starving on the streets. These people, I think we fail to remember that we're all interconnected. There's always that small degree of separation. So that one homeless person that's on the street that your parent may know, that's related to a cousin that's a couple steps back, that is living down the street, and you play with their kid and grew up with them, and they're your best friend's fucking cousin or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, they're not totally separated from you because we're all connected in some fucking way. I have a connection to some person in England somewhere, maybe fucking Ireland or Poland. That's just how that shit works. So of course I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to help whatever community it is that I'm attached to or a friend's attached to. It doesn't matter. I don't give a shit who or what the attachment is. I want to help people. That's what I'm here for. But I'm just trying to make the point out to you, every one of you who make these decisions or sit idly by and watch these decisions be made and carry them out. You have the opportunity to step in and stop it, or to change these people's minds. You have the effect, but you're choosing not to do it, to use it or to exercise it, whatever. You're not doing a thing. You're not doing Shit. If there's work to be done, you're not doing anything. Period. People get mad when I say that shit, but it's true. If there's work to be done, you're not doing anything. Period. I don't give a fuck how people feel about that, because there are too many fucking homeless people, too many sick people on this planet that need our help. It takes a fucking village for everyone, not just children. It takes a village. And when we're strong enough to be able to do what it is that we're supposed to do, whatever that talent or passion is that's supposed to be there for us to express to the world, whatever that is, then use that and do that. But until then, we're all supposed to be here for each other and to help each other get to that point. Just imagine that every single person on this planet was doing whatever it is that's in their heart, their passion, that God put them here to do. Just imagine if everyone was doing that, without the greed, without the craziness and shit that's going on in this world. We wouldn't have any of that. It would just be people living in harmony, because you can't possibly do bad shit and have negative thoughts and treat people like crap selfishly. None of that would exist if we all were acting out of love. It's impossible for it to exist or to grow, to manifest in any way. It's impossible, because what's put on our hearts is like that timestamp. When we're born, it's a timestamp there. Like, okay, I have this on your heart for you to do. This is your job on this fucking planet when you are born, and you have X amount of time to do it. Now go. And then you come shooting out of the birth canal, and it's your job to grow into that person and to do that work. Where the fuck did people get derailed? When did that happen? Is it because they were raised by fucked up individuals? Is it because they were surrounded by those types of people that pushed them off of that path? But see, this is where parenting is very fucking important. You have to teach your children that they have to always do what's right and what they feel in their hearts, and always to love. Everything else is noise. Everything else is noise, because we're born with the inherent value of love and respect for other people. We're born with it. It's intrinsic. Like, I can't break it down any fucking plainer than that. It's already in us, just like whatever it is that was put inside of us to do on this planet, whether it's to teach or to be in the esoterics or whatever it is. We're here for that, but we're not doing that. There are so many people out there not living in that, living their selves. They're living as someone else. And then they're wondering why they're so miserable and sad and depressed. Just think about it. All of those depressed people in the statistics, the 19 million or however many, it's probably more at this point, that are just fucking depressed. How many of them are that way because they aren't living their true selves? If I could talk to those 19 million people, I would ask them that question. How many of you are not living your true life and your true self? And a lot of them would probably raise their hands. If it's 19 million people, probably 22 million people would raise their hands, because no one, for the sake of numbers, no one really is. Like, we have celebrities who are living their parts. They're doing their parts. This is what they're supposed to do. Their talents, that's what they're supposed to do. There may be some that are not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Like, maybe they're playing an instrument in a band, but they need to be out on their own. But they're still on that path. So they still can find their light, their complete light, because their light's still shining. They're still giving their talent to the world, but just not at the forefront. So they just have a little bit more work to do. But that's part of their path. At least they're on it. There's so many of us who are working 9-to-5 jobs or shit, whatever the fuck kind of job. 9-to-5 doesn't really exist anymore. But people who are working these jobs, and they hate it. They fucking hate it. They don't want to go in. It's a pain to wake up every fucking morning. No matter how much money they're making, it's fucking the worst. I was in a position like that where I hated going to work. No matter how much money I made, I just was like, I hate this shit. I fucking hate it. It's not what I'm supposed to be doing. It's a means to an end, but that's it. Then I got tired of it. So I said, fuck the money. It's time to go. Like, I don't give a shit. If I end up on the street, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. My soul is more important than this. I'm not giving my soul away anymore. And I was happy. And what happened? God provided. She made sure I was good. She made sure I was good. That's what we need to do. We need to step outside of ourselves and do what is right. And part of that is standing up for others and making sure that everyone is okay. Not just ourselves. How selfish. How fucking selfish are we? If you listener, you become homeless one day, you would want everybody to bend over backwards to make sure that you're okay. You want to make sure that when you go to a homeless shelter, you have a bed. When they're so overfilled right now, it's waiting lists. They're turning people away left and right, and that's always been the case. Why? They're underfunded. There are surpluses in most states. What do they do with that money? Give it to some fucking construction company and say, hey, we're going to build something fucking dumb. Because we've already taken care of the infrastructure. That's part of the budgets. We've taken money from the schools, but hey, they have a couple of dollars. Literally, a couple. But that's another story. So we've done what we're supposed to do, send a few dollars here and there. So now we have the surplus. What to do? Are you fucking kidding me with that shit? It's happening in my fucking state. There's a 2 point whatever the fuck billion dollar surplus. And he's like, well, we're thinking about doing what? What the fuck are you thinking about doing? That's not the sentence that we're expecting to hear. We have a $2.3 billion surplus and we're going to build up some homeless shelters. We're going to, like, whatever we need, send it to. The buildings are falling apart. The kids don't have any AC. It's just fucked up in the urban areas. Really fucked up. And homelessness. Those two things. We don't need anything else. We really don't. We're okay. We're okay. This isn't a poor state considering where we are. We don't have that kind of problem. What we have is a dissemination problem in thievery. Like, you won't even pay people. I was looking at that shit like, this is a pandemic. People are fighting to get their own money through unemployment of the state. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Why is this? So I'm looking into this shit. I'm like, why is this a problem? And it's so fucking bad. Other states didn't get this fucking, when they came close to fucking up like this, they fixed it. Like, fuck it, let me just fix it. This motherfucker, governor here, oh no. Like, it's sad that you had to have people take you to court multiple times. The people to survive. There are people who literally lost their homes, all of that. No food, none of that. Because they couldn't get those funds. It's just a sad, pitiful fucking thing, and it's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. While this bitch is laid up in his wonderful home with his wife, and they're having a good time and living life, there are people on the fucking street that used to have a fucking place to stay, but just needed that little bit of money to hold them over until they were able to go back to work fully and get their cash back up to be able to survive. They just needed that little bit of a bridge that he fucking destroyed, trying to add to his fucking surplus that is going where? Definitely not to service those fucking homeless people. What a fucked up individual. I hope he's, you know what? I'm not going to be that person. He's already gone through the whole cancer bit and still didn't learn. You cannot expect to be blessed and treated well and have good health if you're not doing well by your people. If you are chosen to do good for your people, this is why people voted for you, so that you could do good for them. And now you're making these decisions? Oh, fuck you. You're out. You are out. Especially because we're not a Republican state anyway. And every time we have a Republican governor, this is exactly what the fuck happens. Every time. And, oh God, I hate to fucking even mention parties, but it needs to be said. It has nothing to do with that per se. It still always has to do with the person. Yes, their ideals may stem from either side, but they still can be a good person. It just happens to be that those ideals form them into these people. They forget what being human in this world, on this land, is like. I'm going to admit, I grew up around Republicans. More Democrats than Republicans, but family members who are Republicans. And listening to some of the things that they would say, there's truth to it. If you can work, then work. It's not necessarily about being lazy or anything like that. Wordage can be changed, yes, of course. It can be a little bit more tactful. But when there are guys standing on the corners doing absolutely nothing with themselves and collecting some type of benefit, then yes, those are the ones I have the problem with. You gotta remember, I spent a lot of my life on the streets. So I got to see these things. These guys, girls, just fucking hustling. Contribute to the fucking economy. Get a fucking job. I'm not working for the man, this, and this, and yada, yada, yada. Okay. So you're going to do this for the rest of your life? No savings, no retirement. Because when you turn 60, I doubt you'll be standing in the corner. I doubt you're still going to be stripping. I mean, there are some 60 and older strippers out there, but that's a different situation. Those are isolated. They make real careers out of them and shit like that. This is not the path that you're on. You're on a path where you're just looking at some local fucking strip club that nobody knows about except the locals. And you're only bringing in $100 a night, if that. Like, no. Get your ass out there. Finish your fucking education and go and get a job. And then figure out what you can do once you have money coming in and some health insurance to get your shit together. Get your body checked out, like, fucking for money. Get your shit cleaned up. And then you'll have the insight to be able to do more. You'll be out among other people who are in that work mind frame, in the workforce, in the rat race, and can help you see, well, look, this is what needs to happen. You'll see the opportunities that are really out there. You can see what you need to do. You can build that path yourself as opposed to just accepting this one that you're on. So there's some truth to that. Overall, a lot of them were privileged. So, of course, they're not going to really see the struggle behind that. There are two sides to all of it. We have to pick one. Those same people, the few that didn't make it out of that shit, are either dead or still trying to figure their lives out. They're 40, 45, still trying to figure their lives out. They're miserable. They're working dead-end jobs. And they're still talking that same old shit like, well, I'm not going to school at this point now. They're too old. No, you're not. Maybe if you got your high school diploma, you could get a better job. And you can see that life could be better. You could travel. When was the last time you left this fucking city? When was the last time you left the state? A lot of them will say, no, I haven't left the state. I barely left the fucking city. Yeah, okay. We're not talking about traveling to the other side of the county. That's not leaving the city. That's just going to the other side to go shopping or getting some groceries or some shit. Like, that doesn't count. People need to do better for themselves. High school is where that comes in. You're not going to stop at middle school, junior high, and say, well, school isn't for me. What? No. That's not the world we live in right now. Maybe back in the 40s and 50s, you could get away with that. Grow up to become a strong person. You can then either enlist into the military, or you could work as some manual laborer, as a steel worker, and make tons of fucking money and feed your family. Because a lot of black people had to go through that. That was definitely possible back then. But now you have to have a fucking education. You have to have a high school diploma at the minimum. So get it. Get a GED. Just get one. Finish it and then make that damn decision. Don't stop before you even get ahead. Okay, I'm getting off subject here. We need to do what we're supposed to do. I say this, and it's the basis of every fucking thing. We need to do what we need to do to be able to help others in order to help ourselves. The subject today was corporate greed, getting these corporations to do what the fuck they're supposed to do. Now, I don't know how many of them listen to if anyone that works there listen to these, but I really hope that they do, because there are so many homeless people out there. There are so many homeless people in the world. People who don't have anything that need us to help them. The village to help them. You go to an African village and you see that everyone helps everyone. No matter what. Some stranger comes walking through dying of thirst and lost off of a trail or something like that. They help them. The end. Like, there are no questions. There are no hesitations. They give them food and drink and shelter, and then help them be back on their way. Why can't we do that? These alleged shithole countries, these people don't know anything, and they're wild animals and whatever else people call us over there. Why can't we do that here? Then who's a wild animal? Who are the shitty people? You see a person walking down the street, homeless, clearly homeless or lost, anything, in despair. Do you help them? How many bottles of water do you take to them? Do you ask to call someone for them? What do you do?